Hello everyone, I trust you're all keeping well and safe during this continuing time of separation. Do you ever look up at the vastness of the heavens at night and see the millions and billions of stars, especially if you're away somewhere remote from the streetlights around here? I love to look at the night sky when we're on holiday in Wales. It's so dark there that the sky seems full of tiny lights. And astronomers, with all the most powerful equipment they have, admit that they cannot see to the end of the universe. And when we think of our Earth in the scale of this, it's a minuscule dot amongst all these celestial bodies. And each one of us is just one of 7 billion other people who exist on this tiny planet. And that could make us feel extremely unimportant and insignificant, couldn't it? And King David felt a bit like that. In Psalm 8, when he looked around at the wonders of creation, in verse 4 he asked God, "What is man that you are mindful of him?" He couldn't understand why God should be interested in him, such a small part of creation. But God's word, the Bible, tells us that the opposite is true. In Isaiah 40 verse 12, it says that our God, who created everything, who measured the waters in the hollow of his hand and marked the heavens out by the breadth of his hand, has singled each one of us out and made us in his own image. How significant is that? Every one of us has been individually made in his image. In 1 Timothy 6 verse 17, it tells us that all of creation was made for our enjoyment. And most of what goes on in creation happens either so fast or so slow that we're not aware of it happening. For example, our Earth is spinning on its axis at over 1,000 miles an hour, and it's travelling through space around the Sun at about 66,500 miles an hour, and we don't feel a thing. And at the other end of the scale, when the flowers in the garden start to bloom, it's so slow that we cannot see it happen without the use of really specialist equipment. Everything was made for our benefit and our well-being and our enjoyment. That's how much each one of us means to God. Ephesians 2:10 tells us that we are his workmanship. Nothing God does is insignificant. Everything has a purpose. Each one of us has a purpose that was planned out for us before we were even born. Psalm 139 tells us how everything about us matters to God. He knows everything about us. He knows what thoughts we have. He knows what we say. He knows when we sit down and when we stand up. If we're happy or if we're sad, or if we're worried about something, like now with the COVID-19 situation. How's that going to affect us over the coming few months? He cares about every aspect of our lives. So when we see that God is so interested in each one of us all the time, we don't need to feel unimportant or insignificant. God bless you all.